In today's Weekend News Roundup, the House of Assembly Standing Orders gives the Speaker authority to reject a notice of absence from a member, says former Speaker of the House of Assembly. She also says it's unfortunate that residents of the 1st District will go unrepresented in the House of Assembly until the next general elections. BVI Electricity Corporation General Manager explains the one-year contract with SOL St Lucia, and he assures no direct impact on electricity prices. Local legislators not at fault for the delays with cannabis laws, says Honorable Julian Fraser, and the BVI needs to negotiate a better relationship with the United Kingdom, says former legislator Kedrick Pickering. All this and so much more when 284 News Weekend News Roundup returns.
Freeze. Choose your mix, choose your flavor.
Welcome everybody. It's Saturday, November 12th, 2022. I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. A happy Saturday to one and all. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your weekly news roundup, bringing you the top stories of this past week. Of course, beginning on the local scene, the standing orders of the House of Assembly gives the Speaker of the House of Assembly authority to accept or decline a notice of absence. This was confirmed by the former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Ms. Ingrid Moses Scatliff, in an exclusive interview with 284 News. The relevance of the question posed to the former Speaker stems, of course, from a recent statement made by former Deputy Premier Kedrick Pickering, who publicly stated during a recent meeting on Virgin Gorda that a Speaker had no such authority to revoke a notice of absence from an elected House of Assembly member. He was referring to the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mrs. Corrine George Mascott, the Honorable Corrine George Mascott, that is, who rejected former Premier Andrew Foy's notice of absence for all future sittings in July of 2022. Contrary to this public statement, Ms. Moses Scatliff pointed to Section 82, Number 2 of the House of Assembly Standing Orders, which she said gives any Speaker of the House of Assembly authority to use their discretion to accept or reject notices of absence.
It specifically says, a member of the House shall vacate his seat if the member in any one session is absent from the House for more than 3 consecutive sittings without the written leave of the Speaker. This section is absolute. This section also gives the Speaker a level of discretion as to whether or not the circumstances require or are justified in her giving written leave. And I think she indicated as such several sittings back, as I alluded to earlier, where based on the present circumstances relating to the member in question, that written leave would not be given. So that this empowers the Speaker. She's just following what the standing orders actually said that the members all subscribed to.
So in other words, the standing orders specifically speaks to her level of authority and discretion when it comes to whether accepting notices or rejecting notices.
Correct. And based on the circumstances presented by the member as it relates to his leave, whether or not you're sick or whatever the circumstances with me, she will make a determination, and which she has in relation to this specific member.
Now, viewers, Ms. Moses Scatliff, who is also an attorney at law, spoke on the respective legal avenues which would result in a House of Assembly member having to vacate his or her seat. She said Section 67, Number 3 of the BVI's Constitution and the House of Assembly's standing orders are at least 2 of critical documents that addresses the subject matter.
As former Speaker of the House of Assembly, the rules of the House are governed by the standing orders of the House of Assembly, the Virgin Islands Constitution Order, the rules and procedures of the House of Assembly, and the Erskine parliamentary practice. So as it relates to the legal avenues available to remove an elected official of the House, we first go to the Constitution. The Constitution, Section 67(3), lists a number of ways that a person can no longer be qualified to sit in the House of Assembly, one of which is resignation, But 2, which is the important one here, it refers, as it relates to vacating a seat, it refers you directly to the standing orders. And I will read for the audience 67.3, the one that specifically speaks to that. 67.3 says, an elected member of the House of Assembly shall also vacate his or her seat in the House if he or she resigns it by signing under his or her hand address to the Speaker, and B, if he or she is absent from the sittings of the House for such period and in such circumstances as may be prescribed in the standing orders of the House. So the Constitution refers you to the standing orders. And when we go to the standing orders of the House of Assembly, it specifically states under section 84(2), which deals with absence of members, a member of the House shall vacate his seat if the member in any one session is absent from the House for more than 3 consecutive sittings without the written leave of the Speaker. So there lies the remedy in which we deal with absences from the House of Assembly.
Moses Scatliff also spoke specifically on legislation that addresses former Premier Foy's present circumstances, which will likely result in him having to vacate his 1st district seat at the end of the next House of Assembly sitting.
Failing the resignation of Andrew Foy, then it falls on section 84(2). I think several sittings back, the current Speaker of the House indicated to the public and to the House of Assembly where she was no longer going to give written leave of absence to the member, which means then that based on what the standing orders actually say, for more than 3 consecutive sittings. Now, that is not 3 sittings, that's 3 or more. So on the 4th sitting, once he is absent without written leave of the Speaker, and she has given indication that she will not be given leave based on the current circumstances that he is now faced with. So at that point, once that happens, then the seat is actually vacated.
It's unfortunate that residents of the 1st District will go unrepresented in the House of Assembly until the next general elections. It is unfortunate, again, this was reiterated by the former Speaker of the House of Assembly, the very same Mrs. Ingrid Moses Scatliff, who made that very same comment during the same recent interview that was exclusively held with 284 News. Former Premier and the current 1st District Representative, the Honorable Andrew Foy, has been away from the territory since late April of this year, following his arrest in the United States for charges on conspiracy to import a controlled substance, conspiracy to engage in money laundering, and attempted money laundering. He has since been slapped with additional charges. Now, with no resignation submitted by Foy to the House of Assembly following his arrest, it means that he continues to hold his 1st District seat in the House despite not being present in any of the sittings during the 7-month period. Moses Scatliff described the phenomenon as unfortunate, especially from the point of view for the voting population of the electoral district for elected Foy for the purpose of representation in the House of Assembly.
In my view, it's unfortunate that what has happened has actually happened, and I hate to use the word unfortunate again. It's now almost 7 months later that we're here, and the representative technically is not able to assist his members. I'm not apportioning blame anyway. I'm just saying the reality is that you have a district that's not represented. They're not represented in the House of Assembly. They're not represented in the district. And really and truly, situations such as those, I think, because we are elected by the people, for the people, and we have a responsibility and accountability to the people to ensure that their interests are always represented. And I think 7 months, and it's not even 7 months, because they're saying 7 months and then having a by-election or election taking place within the next month, perhaps, but that's not going to be the case either.
The BVI Electricity Corporation's General Manager, Mr. Leroy Abraham, has explained that the short duration of the corporation's new agreement with SOL St Lucia for fuel supply and services at 2 power stations in the territory is as a result of the current conditions impacting the global oil market at this time. Abraham noted that the corporation is optimistic that the situation could normalize soon and therefore must be in position to quickly adjust.
Recognizing where we are globally in terms of fuel prices, we're hoping that things would regularize because, as I mentioned before, we're dealing with an unprecedented situation propagated by the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So we're hoping that by early 2023, things would essentially normalize and fuel prices will go back to normal, which is why we only engage in a contract for 1 year. As all of us know, what it is we're seeing now is mind-blowing. So, as I say, G20 global leaders, even the academics, who can't find a solution to what it is that's taking place. We do know it's not going to last forever, but none of us have a crystal ball with regards to how the extent of time that the current situation will continue, unfortunately.
The BVI needs to negotiate a better relationship with the United Kingdom. This is the position shared by the former Deputy Premier of the Virgin Islands, Dr. Kedrick Pickering, who urged the population to get behind the elected officials in their fight to prevent the territory's constitution from being suspended.
We cannot continue the relationship that we have with the United Kingdom the way it is. I'm not here to tell anybody about independence. I'm not here to tell anybody the BVI need to go independence, far from it. But we need to change the status of our relationship with the United Kingdom. Of course, we need greater self-government. But I've attended any number of the United Nations meetings on this whole constitutional process as it affects the overseas countries and territories. And we have the ability here in the BVI, we have enough educated people in this country to be able to sit and negotiate with the United Kingdom government a way forward that suits us, not that suits other people, not that has been done necessarily elsewhere, but find the best of all that has been done and then negotiate our way forward. We don't necessarily have to follow any model that has been established.
During a recent community meeting, Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable Julian Fraser, and Representative for the 3rd Electoral District addressed expressions of concern surrounding legislators dragging, and I quote, dragging their feet with seeing through the Cannabis Licensing Act. Fraser sought to remind members of the public that the House of Assembly is not at direct fault for the holdup with the legislation.
The legislation for cannabis is something that has to be assented to by the governor, as all legislation has to be assented to. And if the governor, if it's not in keeping with the United Kingdom norms, which you would have seen something like that happen in Bermuda, I think it is, that they failed to assent to their bill, we can't have it. So it's not a matter of your local legislators dragging their feet on them on matters like that. I think that, Honorable Smith, that bill was passed by us, wasn't it? It's not assented to yet.
Viewers, that is it for today's weekend news roundup. I want to implore you and encourage you, of course, to stay tuned to our website, 284media.com, as well as our social media handles. That's Instagram, Twitter, as well as YouTube for all our sources of news. Of course, if you missed any of the interviews, the feature interviews that is, whether it be the Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, the recent interview held this week with former BVI prosecutor Mr. Jefferson Knight on the arrest and charges of Mr. Myron Walwyn, as well as the exclusive interview, both exclusive interviews with former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mrs. Ingrid Moses Scatliff, on the happenings of the House of Assembly, I will encourage you to, of course, visit our platforms to ensure that you are keeping up to breast. We thank you so much for rocking with us for this entire week. Reporting for 284 News, I'm Ron Grant. A happy Saturday to each and every one of you. Have a beautiful rest of the week. Bye-bye.